we will understand about ISO 22000 version 2018. So first question is intended use, unplanned use, misuse, expected handling and mishandling of the end product shall be taken into considerations. Yes, it shall be considered and it is a part of the requirement, and the clause number is operation 8. Subclause is hazard control and subclause is 8.5.1 preliminary steps to hazard analysis, and the subclause is intended use. Okay, next question. Internal and external communication needs shall be determined. Yes, it is also a requirement of the ISO 22000 standard version 2018, and the subclause is support 7 number, and subclause communication 7.4, and the subclause is general 7.4.1. Next question. Internal audit shall be performed at planned intervals. Yes, it is a requirement, and the subclause is a clause number is evaluation 9 number, clause subclause is 9.2 internal audit. Next question. Leadership and commitment of top management shall be demonstrated by ensuring that the resources required for the Fsms are available. Yes, it is a requirement of the ISO 22000 standard version 2018, and the clause number is leadership 5. Then the subclause is commitment 5.1. Next, leadership and commitment of top management shall be demonstrated by ensuring that food safety policy and objectives are established and consistent with the strategic directions of the organizations. Leadership and commitment. Yes, it is a requirement of the ISO 22000 standard version 2018, and the clause number is leadership 5, and the subclause is 5.1 commitment. Next question. Leadership and commitment of top management shall be demonstrated by promoting continual improvement. Is it a requirement of the ISO 22000 standard version 2018? Leadership and commitment of top management shall be demonstrated by promoting continual. Yes, it is a requirement of the ISO 22000 standard version 2018, and the clause number is 5 leadership, subclause is 5.2 policy. Next, no sir, 5.1 is the commitment, 5.1 is the clause. Then 57, outsourced processed processes shall be controlled. Is it a requirement of the standard versions? Yes, it is a requirement. Outsourced process shall be controlled, and the clause number is 8 operation, and subclause is 8.1 planning and control. Next, planned and unintended changes shall be controlled. Planned and unintended change shall be controlled. Yes, it is a requirement of the ISO 22000 standard version 2018, and the clause number 8, and the subclause is 8.1 planning and control. Next, preventive measures against cross contamination shall be taken into account when preparing PRPs. Yes, it is a requirement of the standard version 2018. Clause number is 8 operation, and the subclause is 8.2 PRPs. And next, process description shall be maintained as documented informations. process description shall be maintained. Documented, yes, it is a requirement of ISO 20000 standard version 2018, and the clause number is evaluation 9. No, not the clause number 9, sorry, it is 8, operation 8. Then the subclass is 8.5 hazard control, and the subclass is 8.5.1 preliminary steps to hazard analysis, and the subclass is 8.5.1.5 flow diagrams, and the subclass is 8.5.1.3 process description and environment. Next, process mapping shall be established and documented. Process mapping shall be established and documented. Is it a requirement of the ISO 20000 version 2018? No, it is not a requirement specified on the standard version 2018. Then products flow diagrams, categories and food safety processes shall be established, maintained and updated as documented informations. Yes, it is a part of the requirement. And what is the clause number? Clause number is 8, operation, and the subclass is 8.5 hazard control, and the subclass is 8.5.1 preliminary steps to hazard analysis, and the subclass is 8.5.1.5 flow diagrams, and the subclass is 8.5.1.5.1 preparation of flow diagrams. Then products affected by failure to remain within critical limits at CCOS shall be handled as non-conforming products and shall not be released. Is it a requirement of the association standard versions 2018? Yes, it is a requirement, and the clause number is operation clause number 8, and the subclass is 8.9 control of non-conformities, and the subclass is 8.9.4 handling of unsafe products, and the subclass is 8.9.4.2 evaluation of release. Next, provisions shall be in place to respond to potential emergencies or potential incidents. Is it a requirement? Yes, it is a requirement of the standard version 2008 22,000 version number 2018, and the subclass is operation 8, and the subclass is 8.4 emergency, and the subclass is 8.4.2 1 general. Next, PRPs shall be appropriate to the organization and its food safety context. Is it a requirement of the standard version 2018? Yes, it is a requirement. Then the clause number is operation, the subclass is PRPs 8.2. Next, what is the PRP shall be approved by the food safety team? Yes, it is a requirement, and the clause number is 8, and the subclass is 8.2 PRPs, okay, prerequisite programs. Then what is the point? PRPs shall be established, applied, maintained and updated. Yes, it is a requirement. PRP, prerequisite programs are important, it should be established. And the clause number 8 and the subclass is 8.2 PRPs. Next, resources for maintaining the FSMS infrastructure shall be provided. Yes, without the resources you cannot maintain the FSMS requirement or infrastructure is required. Then the clause number is support. The resources comes under support, and 7.1 is the resources subclass, and the subclass is 7.1.3 infrastructure. Then subclass is resources for the maintenance of the FSMS working environment shall be determined, provided and maintained. Yes, it is a requirement, all the environment of the FSMS required. Then support as 7 number clause. Then what is the subclass? 7.1 resources, and the subclass is 7.1.4 work environment. What should be the environment for working in FSMS situation? Then next, resources needed for the establishment, implementation, maintenance, updating and continual improvement of the FSMS system shall be determined. Yes, it is a requirement. And what is the clause number? Clause number is same 7, support. Then what is the subclass? 7.1 resources, and the subclass is 7.1.1 general resources. Next, responsibilities and role authorities shall be assigned, communicated and understood internally. Yes, all the roles and responsibilities of each person should be communicated internally in FSMS system. Yes, it is a requirement. Then the clause number is 5, leadership. Then the subclass is 5.3, roles and responsibilities should be communicated. Then results of the classification of control measures shall be maintained as documented information. Yes, it is a requirement, and coming clause number 8, and the subclass is, what is the subclass? 8.5 hazard control, and the subclass is 8.5.1 preliminary steps, hazard analysis 5.2, and the clause number is 8.5.2.4 control measures. Next, risks shall be determined in order to enhance desirable effects. Yes, the risks are required to be determined. Then what is the clause number 6? Planning. You have to plan properly to determine the risk. Then 6.1 is the actions to address different risks in the ISO 20000 version. The next question, risks shall be determined to give assurance that the FSMS can be achieved its intended results. Yes, it is a requirement. And what is this clause number? Clause number is 6, planning. Then 6.1, actions to address risks. Next, risks shall be determined to reduce undesired effects. Yes, you have to determine what are the undesired effects, what are the vulnerabilities is coming under 6. Then 6.1, actions to address risk. Next, sufficient information shall be available to interested parties. Yes, is a requirement. All informations should be communicated. Then what is the clause number? Clause number is support 7, and the subclass is 7.4 communication. Then the subclass is 7.4.2 external communications. Yes. Next, sufficient information shall be provided externally for the requirement. Is it a requirement of the ISO 20000 standard versions 2018? Yes, it is a requirement of the ISO 20000 standard version 2018, and it is coming under support 7 number clause. and the clause number 7.4 communication and 7.4.2 external communications. Okay. Next, the acceptable level of food safety hazards identified in the end product shall be determined. Yes, it is the main portions of the Fsms systems, then it is a requirement. Next, it is coming under class number 8 operation. Then what is the subclass 8.5 hazard control and 8.5 hazard 8.5.2 hazard analysis. Next, 8.5.2.2 hazard analysis, hazard identification. Next questions. The accuracy of the flow diagrams shall be determined in situ by the food safety team. Yes, it is a requirement. Accuracy of flow diagrams is important, and it is coming under 8 operations, class number 8, and the subclass is 8.5 hazard control and the subclass is 8.5.1 preliminary steps to hazard analysis, and the subclass is 8.5.1.5 flow diagrams, and the subclass is 8.5.1.5.2 no on-site confirmations. Next, the application and effectiveness of the withdrawal and recall shall be kept as documented information. Yes, effectiveness and applications of withdrawals and recalls to deal with emergency situations. It is coming under class number 8, and the subclass is 8.9 control of non-conformities, and the subclass is 8.9.5 withdrawal and recalls. Okay. Next, the characteristics of the end product shall be updated if necessary after establishing the hazard control plan. Yes, yes, it is a requirement, and the class number is operation, and subclass is 8.6 updating PRPs. Next, the corrections and critical actions to be taken shall be specified when critical limits or actions criterions are not met in order to identify the cause of non-conformities. Yes, it is a requirement. So, you have to find out the cause of non-conformities. Then the clause numbers, it is coming under clause number, not support, it should be operation, is dealing with the non-conformities. Then the class number subclass is 8.5 hazard control, and the subclass is 8.5.4 hazard control plan, and the subclass is 8.5.4.4 corrective actions. Then the dispositions of non-conforming products shall be retained as documented information. Yes, it is a requirement of the standard version 2018, and the class number is operation 8, and the subclass is 8.9 control of non-conformities. Subclass is 8.9.4 handling of unsafe products. Next, subclass 8.9.4.3 dispositions of non-conforming products. Then the distribution of the end products shall be taken into account when establishing and applying the correct traceability systems. Yes, it is a requirement. The class number is operation, subclass is 8.3 traceability. Next, the documented informations on the characteristics of end products shall include the intended shelf life and storage conditions. Is it a requirement of the ISO 22000 standard? Yes, it is a requirement, and the class number is operations 8, and the subclass is 8.5 hazard control, then 8.5.1 preliminary steps to hazard analysis, then the subclass is 8.5.1.3 characteristics of end products. Next, The documented information on the characteristics of the end product shall include the product name and the biological, chemical and physical characteristics. Yes, the documented information is required for all types of hazards. Yes, it is a requirement of the ISO 22000 standard version 2018, and it's coming under operations 8 number clause, and the subclass is 8.5 hazard control, and the subclass is 8.5.1 preliminary steps to hazard analysis, and the subclass is 8.5.1.3 characteristics of end products. Then the documented information is required by the statutory authorities, the regulatory authorities, and by the customers shall be included in the Fsms. Is it a requirement of the association? Yes, it is a requirement. All the information about the statutory authorities require. Then it's coming under clause number 7, and the subclass is 7.5 documented informations. Then the subclass is 7.5.1 general. Next, the document information shall be reviewed and, if necessary, updated after the occurrence of an incident or emergency. Next is a requirement, and it is coming under the clause number 8 operations, because it is dealing with emergency situations, and the subclass is 8.4 emergency, and the subclass is 8.4.12 handling of emergencies. Next, the documented information that the organization deems necessary for the effectiveness of the Fsms shall be included in the Fsms. Is it a requirement? The documented information? Yes, it is requirement. Then the clause number is 8 point, sorry, not 8 point, its clause number is 7 support. Then the subclass 7.5 documented informations. Next, subclass is 7.5.1 general. Next, the effectiveness of the traceability system shall be verified and tested. Is it a requirement? Yes, the effectiveness of the traceability systems should be verified. It is coming under clause number 8, and the subclass is 8.3 traceability. Next, the externally provided Fsms elements shall be developed in accordance with the requirements of the ISO 20000. Yes, the externally provided Fsms elements shall be really developed, and the clause number 7 support. Next, subclass is 7.1 resources, how to handle resources. Then 7.1.5 external elements of the Fsms. What are the different elements? The externally provided Fsms elements shall be retained as documented same. Is yes, it is a requirement. Clause number support 7 number clause, and the subclass is 7.1 resources, and the subclass is 7.1.5 external elements of the Fsms same. Then the food safety manual shall be approved by the top management. Is it a requirement of the ISO 2000 standard versions? No, it is not required, because food safety it's not manual should not be approved by top management. Next, the food safety policy shall be appropriate to the purpose. Yes, and the context of the organization. Yes, it is a part. And the leadership clause number, the subclass is 5.2 policy. Then the subclass is 5.2.1 establishing of food safety policy. Then the food safety policy shall be communicated only internally. Is it a requirement of the ISO? Yes. No, it's not requirement. Then the food safety policy shall be communicated, understood and applied internally. Yes, it is a requirement of the standard version 2018, and the clause number is leadership. Then the subclass is 5.2 policy, the subclass is 5.2.2 communicating FS policy, food safety policy. Then the food safety policy shall be established, implemented, maintained. Yes, it is a requirement, and the subclass is leadership 5, and the subclass is 5.2 policy. The subclass is 5.2.1 establishing the food safety policies. Then the food safety policies shall be provided a framework for setting food safety objectives. Yes, it is a requirement of the standard versions 2018. Okay. Next, this clause number leadership 5 number clause, and the subclass is 5.2 policy, and 5.2.1 is the subclass by establishing food safety policy. Then the food safety team leader shall report on the effectiveness of the FSMS to top management. Yes, he has to report the food safety team leader FSTL. Then the subclass is, so the clause number is leadership 5, and the subclass is rules 5.3. Then the food safety team shall be informed in a timely manner of any changes made to customer requirement. Yes, the team should know what are the different changes in the customers requirement. Then the class number is support 7 number, and the subclass is 7.4 communications, and the subclass is 7.4.3 internal communications. Then what is the food safety team shall be informed in good time about changes made to products and raw materials. Yes, it's a requirement. Food safety team should know about the raw material changes. And the clause number 7, and the subclass is 7.4 communications, and the subclass is 7.4.3 internal communications. Then the FSMS and the necessary processes and their interactions shall be established, applied, maintained, updated, and improved continually. Yes, it is a requirement coming under 4, and the subclass is 4.4 FSMS, because it is part of the context, the clause number 4. Next, the FSMS shall be updated continually. Yes, it's a requirement. FSMS needs updates also. And the subclass is 10 improvement, coming under improvement, and updates the FSMS 10.3. Then the FSMS update activities shall be included as input to the management reviews. Yes, it is a requirement. During MR meeting you have to include that. Then it is coming under 10, class number 10. Then what is 10.3? Updates of the FSMS. The hazard control plan shall be applied and maintained. The hazard control plan shall be applied and maintained. Yes, it is a requirement. The plan should be applied. Then operations same, and the subclass is 8. Review shall be maintained as documented information. No, this is not a part of the standard ISO 2018 versions. So we can see here it is not the part of the, no, it is not a requirement of the specified standard. Next, the purpose of the changes and the consequences shall be taken into account. Yes, it is a part of the clause number 6, and coming under 6.3 planning of changes. Next, the results of monitoring and measuring shall be analyzed and evaluated. Yes, it is a part, and the clause number is what should be the clause number? Clause number is 9, evaluations. Then the subclass is 9.1, monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluation. Next, what is the subclass? 9.1.2, analysis of and evaluations. Analysis and evaluations. Next, the scope of the FSMS shall include the processes, products, and services that can influence the food safety of the end products. Yes, it is a requirement. Scope of the FSMS shall be included. Yes, it is a requirement. And the part is, clause number is context, and the subclass is 4.3, scope of the FSMS. Then the selected control measures shall be classified as OPRP or CCBs. Yes, it is a requirement. The control measures is divided in CCP, OPRPs, PRPs. Yes, it is part of clause number 8. And 8.5 is the subclass higher control, and the subclass is 8.5.2 hazard analysis. And what is the subclass? 8.5.2.4 control measures. Next, verification activities shall not be performed by the persons responsible monitoring these activities. Yes, it is a requirement, and it's coming under 8 number operations. And the subclass is 8.8 verification of PRPs, and 8.8.1 is the verification subclass. Then when a non-conformity occurs, responsible person shall react to the non-conformities and deal with the consequences. Yes, and it's coming under clause number 10 improvement, and subclass is 10.1 non-conformities. Then when actions criteria for OPRPs are not met, the food safety consequences of the failure shall be determined. Yes, it is a requirement of the ISO 22000 standard version 2018, and it is coming under the clause number operation, and the subclass is 8.9 control of non-conformities, and subclass is 8.9.2 corrections. Okay, with this we have understood about ISO 22000 2018